Hello, hello, and welcome to the Unplug Meditation Podcast. I am so excited to have one of my favorite teachers, Shannon Algeo, with us today, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about him. Shannon teaches the ultimate relaxation class at Unplug Meditation Studios on the app. He has a meditation that I listen to maybe at least 50 times called Blessed, Not Stressed, and now millions of people are listening to it on Beachbody On Demand. He is a business coach. He's a podcaster. He has a new book coming out. But to tell you the truth, what he's really all about is keeping it simple and just being a good guy. I am so excited to have you on the show, Shannon. Welcome to the Unplugged podcast.
Thank you, Suze. Thank you for that introduction, and thank you for having me. I'm always so excited and love talking to you. So thanks for having me.
Thanks. Well, I know a lot of our listeners will want to know probably what's in it for me. Or maybe that's just my question that I seem to get to all the time. But as a listener of podcasts, I always think, I like to get to the meat immediately. So what are the best tips that you give? I know you have a course on manifesting your dreams for entrepreneurs. Can you tell us a little bit about that and maybe like your best tips to achieving the ultimate manifestation?
Yeah, well, manifestation is such an interesting word. And I think it's, to me, manifestation is linked to purpose or dharma. And dharma, Dharma, is your purpose code that is embedded in you. Like, why is Susie here on the planet? And what are you here to do with this opportunity of your life? And I really believe that all of us have something that we're here to do, to contribute, to be of service, to connect, to love, to experience joy and peace, and to move the needle in ourselves and our communities. There's a lot of healing happening and healing that's required in our world. So I believe that for every human being who is open, whether it's through meditation or therapy or coaching or personal development or yoga, whatever their path is, that everyone, when they do their own healing work, when they do this sort of deeper inner inquiry, has the capacity to connect to this purpose that is unique to each and every one of us. But when we all work together as a collective, our purposes come together to serve a larger purpose. So manifestation, I think it's really important to distinguish between manifestation for the sake of what, because manifestation for the sake of ego is like, well, what can I do to get the life that I want for me? Which there's not necessarily...
That's my favorite kind of manifestation. Is that bad? No.
No, it's not bad, but if everyone's just manifesting for themselves, then we can lose connection to what is the greater purpose here. How does what I am manifesting for myself either cause healing or potential harm to those around me? So I believe that when we're actually in flow with what it is that we are here to create, then we are actually also awake and conscious of the impact of our manifestations. And so ultimately, I don't want to be manifesting something that's helping me but hurting others, because that's actually causing an energetic vibration of not peace when we're actually here to create peace. So I think that there's a level of responsibility when manifesting that when you're doing it in an aligned way that's helpful to both yourself and others, then you're actually, think about it, you're removing the guilt that might be associated, because subconsciously, if I'm manifesting something that's good for me but hurting someone else, then I'm going to feel that energetically. Versus if I'm doing something that's helping a lot of people and allowing people to become more empowered and more peaceful and more alive within themselves, I'm going to feel that karma. So the manifestation has to, in my opinion, has to also be in alignment with what is the karmic impact, what is the energetic ripple that I'm having as a result of my actions. So there's the ego's manifestation, and then there's the soul's manifestation. And the
Mhm.
ego wants to get things because, like, if I get that, there's nothing wrong with having a fancy car, but if I need to get the fancy car just so I can feel worthy, then I'm not actually sourcing my self-worth from my soul. I remember a post of yours, Susie, during the fires. It was either last year or 2 years ago, where you had to evacuate. I think it was last year.
Mhm.
And there was a post that you left on Facebook or Instagram, and you said, like, that you were really at peace with letting your stuff go. Like, you had yourself, and you had your family, and you had what's important to you, and you didn't need all of the stuff. And
Mhm.
I felt from you such a sense of, like, of uh, unattachment and release. And so that's what we're talking about when we're talking about manifestation, is like, what do we actually need to thrive, and can we source our self-worth from the inside out? So then when you start manifesting, you're manifesting from a space of your soul's calling, instead of manifesting from a space of your ego's grasping.
Right.
And there is a difference.
I love that. I could just
So
listen to you talk and talk and talk. So in your course, can you talk a little bit about that? So what do you do exactly in that course?
yeah, so the course is called the Illuminate Your Purpose Career Manifestation course. And there's actually a free there's like 3 videos that are free classes on my website if you go to careermanifestation.com. And anyone can do those at any time. So the course itself is in alignment with the 7 chakras. So, and we actually start with the 7th chakra, and then we move from the crown of the head to the mind, to the throat, to the heart, to the gut, to the hips and relationships and money, to the legs and the ground, the earth.
Can you explain to our audience, because some of them might not know what a chakra is? I like to remind all of our fabulous healers that, like, there are people who are chakra illiterate out there. I was one of them, so not to intimidate anyone, but not everybody knows what a chakra is. So can you explain first what that is?
Yes, thank you for asking that question. So a chakra, so chakras come from the yogic tradition, the Hindu tradition, and a chakra is like a spinning wheel of light. It is an energetic center. So, and what's actually cool is, now that we've made so many advances in science, science has found that there's actually collections of nerves in the same places where the Hindus uh, intuitively knew that there were chakras. So there's energetic centers, and there's also nerve collections of literal energy, nerve collections in these energetic centers. And so it's often referred to as a spinning wheel of light. And each chakra has a vibration, it has a sound, it has a color. So the crown chakra is like purple and indigo and blue. Green is the heart. Yellow is the fire of the solar plexus. Orange is the sacral, sexual, creative chakra. And then red is the earth. And so I designed the career manifestation course to bring your higher purpose onto the earth. So how do you, it's like, I often use the analogy of landing a plane. So
Mhm.
you're up in the sky, you have this inspired idea. An inspiration comes like through the crown of your head, it comes into your mind, and it goes off like a light bulb. And you're like, oh my gosh, I want to do that thing. But ideas are a higher vibrational frequency. They're a thought. You can't touch a thought, but you can be aware of a thought. So how do you make a thought? How do you make an idea real? How do you manifest it in the world? Well, then you have to continually think the thought, and you have to believe that it's possible. So we come up with a vision for your life, so you can really see what you want to do. And then you have to speak it into existence. You have to use your voice to give language to what you want to create.
Mhm.
You also have to feel it in your heart. There's this like concept of like, is your heart in it? Because when your heart's in something and behind something, you become unstoppable. And then there's like the fire of your belly. And this is where you cultivate self-confidence and strengthen yourself. This is like the good ego, the ego that says like, I'm Suze Schwartz, and like I've been on Oprah and I'm like this badass who wants to bring meditation to the masses. Like I'm going to do this. That's what the solar plexus says. It says, I'm going to do it. And then in the second chakra, we look at relationships, how our relationship with money supports us in creating what it is that we want to create. And then the seventh module, which is the first chakra, the root chakra, we like plant the seed of this idea, of this vision into the earth. And so we come up with like an action plan, goals, specific, measurable actions that you can take to bring your vision into reality. So it's like how to take an idea and then bring it into the earth so it actually happens.
Wow. That's so weird because like I'm listening to this and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's exactly what happened to me with Unplug. It was an idea. I felt it in my heart. I couldn't stop the gut from like only wanting to do that. And then I planted the seed and it turned into this. So you just described that in such a simplistic, amazing way. And I really wish that everybody who's listening to this would, if they could, access your course, because then they can actually do the things that they dream of. A lot of people say, well, how did you do it? You know what the thing is, I'm not someone who overthinks things. I've been blessed with not the intellect, but with the action part. So I don't think too much about things. I jump in and then I'm like, oh shit. You know, like most people think all the things and all the steps and come up with all the problems in advance. I just kind of jump in and then I deal with them. I always think that's the best way to get things done, especially with dreams, right?
Yeah, well, and you can't learn how to swim in the ocean thinking about swimming in the ocean. You got to get in the ocean and learn to like, have the waves crash over you and pull you under and then pull yourself up, and like which waves to jump over, which waves to dive in. Like I relate to what you're saying. I'm kind of a combination. I can get very intellectual and philosophical and I like that sometimes, but I also have many times have just thrown myself in. Like I always say with my podcast Soul Feed, if I knew how much was going to go into starting a podcast, I probably wouldn't have started, because I would have thought I can't do that. I'm not capable of doing that. But because we started the podcast, and then, some of the first people that I got to interview were Marianne Williamson and Deepak Chopra and Carolyn Mace and Sean Korn. And so thanks to them saying yes, I was like, okay, well, I better figure this out, because these are some really great interviews we've got here.
Right.
So I do think that throwing yourself in can be a great way to learn. But on the flip side, if you just throw yourself in without considering what is my higher purpose and what is my vision, some people are just constantly doing, and they're in action and they're making money and they're hustling, and they actually need to take a step back and say, what the F am I doing?
Yeah. Well, I was lucky because I was friends with the girls from Soul Cycle before I started Unplug. And they gave me a very good piece of advice. And they said, where you begin is not where you will end. So when I started Unplug, it really was primarily mindfulness and mindfulness teachers. And there's just so many people who want to go to a mindfulness class that we then started adding in crystals and aromatherapy and sound baths and hypnosis and NLP and tapping, because I was learning as I went, and they kept it interesting for me as well. So I think just understanding that where you begin is never where you land is something important for people to know. Now, I know, Shannon, also you're coming out with a book. Can you tell me a little bit about that? What's the title? When is it launched? I want to know everything. Give me deets.
Yeah, well, at the time we're recording this, no one has seen the cover publicly, and I know that we're recording on YouTube, so I'm going to show a printed version of the cover that I have, and share it with all of you, because I'm so excited about it. This is
Wow.
Trust Your Truth.
I love that cover. Who made that?
And so my publishing company is New Harbinger. Um,
Wow.
they published The Untethered Soul. And then the book
Wow.
is, the tagline is Heal Self-Doubt, Awaken to Your Soul's Purpose, and Live Your Badass Life. So Trust Your Truth is available for pre-order now, actually, although I haven't
Wow.
announced that yet. And the book comes out in March of 2021, March 1st.
And you were throwing your book party at Unplug Meditation?
I sure am. And I'm
Okay, and everybody listening to this is invited. You're invited if it's physical or if it's virtual. You can come to both. We'll
my
probably end up being physical and virtual when we get back into the studio.
I'm really holding the vision for a physical event, and I want to have, I just had this vision a couple weeks ago of like having someone come and do live music. And I don't know, I'm just seeing this really beautiful celebration of people coming together after not being able to be together for so long. That's my hope. That's my hope.
It's really weird. I had that vision today also. And it wasn't because I saw something on Apple News that said that there'll be a vaccine by second half of 2021. But I was just like, I feel like it's going to be earlier than that. I just feel like March. I don't know why.
Maybe like the first week of March.
Your book party launch feels like the day we should get physical.
I was so want that. And so yeah, and like so Trust Your Truth, the essence of Trust Your Truth, also the chapters are in alignment with the chakras. So it's about finding your personal truth on every level of your body and being.
What's a
And
good prompt question that you ask in that book to help you find your truth? Because I mean, what some people don't realize is when you meditate, you get quiet enough so you can actually hear your own inner voice. And some of the greatest teachers, including Shannon Algeo, talks about he'll like prompt and give you little questions that you're like, oh my gosh. And the whole room is having an epiphany because of these questions. So I'm assuming you've probably got some incredible questions inside of this book that are self prompts to help you discover your truth. And if so, can you give us a couple of them?
yeah. Well, I just want to like highlight and underline and bold and italicize what you just said, because I love it so much. Like meditation allows us to get in touch with our inner voice. And that is my experience, is that we all have an inner knowing. And with the personal development world, there sometimes can be this temptation to like become better, to be a better, higher version of ourselves, which is can be well and good. But the more that I do my own healing on myself, therapy, meditation, I realize that I am enough. The answers are already here inside of me, and each of us contains within us an incredible amount of wisdom and truth, not only from our own life experiences, but from the experiences of our ancestors and the generations that have come before us, and also just from our pure connection to source itself. All of us have a connection to source, the truest essence of life that we all are. I love the way that Eckhart Tolle describes consciousness, that we are all energetically, we are the sun. Consciousness is the sun, but each of us appears to be an individual ray of the sun. Like there's the Suze ray of light and the Shannon ray of light, but we are all at our source consciousness. We are the same. We are the same energy. So a prompt in the book that there, and there's actually so many in each chapter. There's journaling prompts, and there's going to be a journaling prompt PDF guide that people can download and write their answers in if you want. But one that's really simple that I'll invite everyone to literally ask yourself right now, and you can write this question and journal about it, is what does my body want me to know right now? What does my body want me to know right now? And you might think like, what? But you can literally put one hand on your heart, one hand on your belly, And by the way, when you put your hands on your body, oxytocin is released in the body. Oxytocin is the chemical of love and bonding. It's that feeling of when your mother held you at her bosom, close to her heart. So when you place your hands on your body, oxytocin actually releases in the body. And then you can ask yourself, what does my body want me to know right now? And that might just be listening to certain sensations in the body. Like, oh yeah, my body is feeling a little strange or uncomfortable or good or tense or just whatever. Like, start by noticing what is there. And the thing I like about journaling the answer to this question is if you just get your pen on the page, the arms are extensions of the heart. So if you just breathe and start writing and don't think about what does my body want me to know and have the mind answer, but let the body answer. It's really fascinating what can pour out. It's like, and it's always different.
We actually have a journal on the Unplug app that a lot of people use right after they meditate, and they just start writing down, well, the 3 things they feel grateful for and like the epiphanies that they had inside of their meditation. And they love it so much. I mean, some huge ideas have come out of that. So journaling is just such an important thing to do. And I like the concept of using a real pen to do it and writing without worrying about what it looks like, without worrying about spell check, and just getting it out there. So it's good for the soul.
Oh my gosh, it's so good for the soul. And sometimes I need to write things that I just need to get off my chest. And by writing them, it's almost like I'm sharing them with a therapist or a trusted friend, because it's like by writing it, I'm validating my own thoughts and feelings, things that I might not really validate or acknowledge or feel confident in when they're just kind of swimming in my head and my energy system. But when I write them down, I'm like, yeah, that was annoying me. Okay, now I feel like I can let it go because I acknowledged it.
I love that. This is so interesting. There's a couple questions now I want to ask you, like bullet questions. Are you okay with that?
Yeah.
I'm going to just make them up as I go. Because you're like my second person I've interviewed. Camilla Sinkerdollar was the first one.
I love her
and
so
what's
much.
so nice is like our teachers love each other. Like we have the best group of teachers in Unplug, and they all collaborate and love each other and do things off the platform. I love that.
Well, you've created such an amazing community, and you've created something really positive, and I feel like you've brought us together in a lot of ways. So my connections with some of these teachers have been either I've met them through you or the connections have been enhanced through Unplug. So
I think I need to do a physical connection, like just powwow somewhere fun,
Yes.
Okay. So my first question for you is, when you were young, what did you think you were going to be when you grew up?
I'm just reminded of how in kindergarten we had this song that we sang, and it was like the alphabet, and everyone was a different profession with the alphabet. And I was Fernando, the fearless firefighter, which feels especially appropriate in California right now. I wanted to be like, I used to love my, I grew up in Catholic school. So my confirmation sponsor was this woman named Seal Galzinski. And she was like the singer and the guitar player and came up with all the musical liturgy for all the masses at church. And she was our music teacher. And I loved her. She got me singing. She got me to sing, and she would have me sing in church and stuff like that. And she was such a badass. And like, she'd be, doing a funeral for someone, and then she'd be teaching us music class. And she was just like, she was in the school and she was in the church, and she always had this big key ring, like with like 30 keys on it. She had a key to like every door in the building. And so I used to, when I was little, like I had my keys. I don't know what I had keys to, but I had keys, and I would wear them around my waist or around my wrist with one of those like stretchy things. And I would just pretend that I was like busy. I'd be like, I wanted to be like a manager, a badass, just like running the show. So I don't know if that's a precise answer, but
I think that's pretty good. Okay, second question is, how would your mom describe you?
oh, my mom, sending love to Susan Algeo right now. My mom would describe me as so smart, and I have such a good heart, and everyone loves you, and you're so brilliant and inspiring, and we're so proud of you. That's like verbatim what my mom says to me.
I love that. Okay. Um, if you were to say there's one spiritual teacher or teacher that you look to as your mentor, you don't have to know them, obviously, like Eckhart Tolle, whoever you feel, who would be, you're trapped on a desert island and you can only have one book, what would, or one video,
Mm,
one podcast, it could be one of those three things, what would it be? Who would it
mm,
be? Who's your person?
At first, when you asked that question, I thought that I might get to have them with me.
That would be great. You probably wouldn't want them anymore. You'd be like,
Right, right.
okay.
They'd become family, and then I'd realize, oh, yeah, we all have our stuff. So, a few people just came to mind: Brene Brown, uh, Daring Greatly. I think if I was stranded on an island, I'd want a copy of Daring Greatly. um, I also thought of my friend and mentor and teacher who's been so informative and inspiring to me on this path, Sean Korn. Um, and yes, Eckhart Tolle and Marianne Williamson.
Okay, this was what you're only supposed to pick one. This is not a
Okay.
party.
Okay.
Okay.
Brene Brown.
Okay, got it. So knowing that, the next question is, you get to go for lunch at the Soho House in Malibu.
I
You can
love that
bring
one.
one person with you. Anyone, but they have to be living. Who
Mhm.
is it?
My sister Molly.
Love that. Tell us the name of the hometown you're from.
Rockville, Maryland.
What's your favorite restaurant in Rockville?
It's been so long since I've dined there or anywhere for that matter. Um, I'm going to go ahead and say Giuseppe's Pizza because we used to grow up there going there every Friday night. My dad would take us to Blockbuster and then we'd pick up Giuseppe's. And Sue, Sue and Scott Feldman were always there, like greeting us, the owners of the place, just total mom and pop pizza place. And they've been family friends for like decades now. So I'm going to say Giuseppe's.
Okay, I love that. If you were to say, like, you're browsing on a Saturday and you get to go any area, walking around, all the stores are open. Imagine Los Angeles is back to life. Where are you?
Mm.
Besides
Mm.
Unplug meditation, because you're usually teaching class at Unplug on a Saturday. FYI.
Yeah. Well, my answer is like my first answer is like on the beach. But I did that today. So I really loved, I was teaching my Unplug class at 9:30 on Saturdays.
Mm-hmm.
And then I would go to an Al-Anon meeting in the Palisades.
Mm-hmm.
Amazing, amazing meeting with incredible people and so like soul nourishing. So I would go to the Al-Anon meeting in the Palisades, and then I would go to Erewhon and just walk around the Palisades downtown.
Mm-hmm.
And that area is just so charming. And I would just feel so alive after teaching and then going to the meeting and then eating at Erewhon. Ah, I would love to do that again.
I love that. Okay, so the last one is this. If you could recommend for someone who's starting a career as an entrepreneur, because you are an entrepreneur, what are the tools that you use? Like for us, we use Anchor for our podcasts, or we use Canva for our graphic design. what are a couple tools that you use that you find so incredibly helpful? Not like the classic Gmail, blah, 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 but like a tool we don't know.
Mm. Mm. Well, you said Canva, which has been incredibly useful to me.
Mhm.
I host my podcast on Libsyn, Libsyn, which is
Mhm.
Liberated Syndication. It's similar to Anchor. Um, and I host all of my my meditation membership, my career manifestation course, my coaching through a program called Kajabi.
Oh, yeah.
Kajabi. And I was one of the founding members of Kajabi, and I've been using it for 6 or 7 years, and it's it's been incredible for my business and to host like members and stuff like that. So I would encourage people to look into Kajabi.
Ooh, that's a really good tip. Shannon, thank you so much for being on the Unplugged podcast. And can you tell everybody what your class is on Unplug and where they can find you on the Unplug app?
Yes. So I am teaching Rise and Restore, which is a deep relaxation yoga nidra meditation every Saturday morning at 9:30 Pacific time. So that's the live Zoom class through Unplug Live. And there might be another one soon, so stay tuned. Look for me on the schedule. And I would love to practice deep relaxation with anyone who's listening. It's such a powerful practice, and I love facilitating these like beautiful 45-minute deeply relaxing experiences. And I've got tons of meditations now on the Unplug app. One of Suze's favorites is Blessed Not Stressed. I actually did one of my meditations back in February because I was interested in how it sounded and if it was any good. I was like, who's this Shannon guy? Is his meditation actually good? So I did the Romance Yourself, and I really loved it, which was really surprising to me because I don't normally do guided meditations, and it's also weird listening to yourself guide yourself. But I actually enjoyed it, so I hope you do too. Romance
Ooh,
yourself.
I haven't done that since we filmed it. So I'm going to listen to it today for sure because I'm so sad. I lost my streak. I meditated every single day for 30 days, and like on the app, it shows your streak. And yesterday I just meditated with a friend and I didn't do it on the app. And now I'm back to day one. So I'm like, gotta fix that. All right. Well, thank you, Shannon. I love talking to you. You're a genius. Again, definitely pre-order the book, flash the cover one more time. Trust
That's the
yourself.
cover. Yeah. And pretty soon, if it's not up
Trust
yet,
your truth.
trustyourtruthbook.com. Trustyourtruthbook.com will be the place where you can get the bonuses. There's going to be a guided meditation album for each chapter, and there's some other things as well. So
Love that.
yeah.
Okay. I'll buy it today. Thank you. Mwah.
Thank you so much, Suze. Love you.
Love
Mwah.
you.